life is to overcome this life. Is it really to change the prison, or is it to evolve the mind of the prisoner? Now, I think that we're here to make attempts to make this world a better place, but it's not about the outcome. It's about whether you tried while you were here. It's about whether or not you got involved in the gang warfare or the illusions of separation, or whether or not you tried to help those targeted. It's going to come down to whether you became a product of this prison planet or whether you chose to evolve. Now, if you're going to choose to evolve, you're going to find opposition, people coming against you. If you choose to speak your mouth, speak your mind, using your mouth, using your hand to write your word, to put it into a book, or to use your voice to speak into a podcast, you're going to find opposition. You're going to find a much more comfortable life for yourself if you get an average job and you seek to please people. But the question is, are you here to serve other people or people that you're connected with on social media? Or are you here to serve the Creator? You will be mocked for believing in the Creator. You will be mocked by those who say that they're praying to God under the religious umbrellas of Islam, Judaism, and mainstream Christianity. They will mock us and call us heretics for not being like the average one of them. You'll find ourselves cast out and perhaps living away from society for the rest of our lives. This is what comes with being born different. But if you were born different like I, and you perceive reality differently than perhaps either side of your family or anyone in the hometown that you're from, or the home state or home country, then you need to exercise your gifts. Because when it comes to dedicating ourselves to this generation and the species, it's not about putting out information in real time like I am now and it being accepted by the people alive today. They could be laughing at what we're saying today. And they could be studying the things that we said in 10 years, in 20 years, in 100 years. Every post that we made, every page that we wrote, every podcast that we recorded, every video that we made. We're told now in this reality that nothing has meaning. That we have to join the zombie apocalypse. We have to join a tribe, join a gang, or forever feel ourselves judged by all the different tribes and gangs, by being an independent, by not joining their religion, by not identifying with one particular race or race war theology. We will find ourselves punished by the archon devil Satan of this world. But are we here to serve the Creator, to protect the Creator's creations, to speak against genocide and the warping of nature? Are we here to serve the creatures of this domain or to serve the Creator? And when we're honest about what that means, that then dictates our actions. So what matters most to us? Many people that come to deceive come and insist that God only be called a particular name. And they do this to covertly get their way into our life and to influence us. And see, the main purpose of some of the humans, and I don't know that all humans have souls that are on the planet. Some of them are only there because they're assigned to us. We're assigned to our channel. To redirect us away from our life path. To tell us that we have no value. In an effort to shut down the outreach. And so it's important to understand this age of instantaneous digital communication, which our ancestors did not have. That it's a flaming sword. It can be used to unlock doors that were previously closed by introducing an idea. The flaming sword can also be used to pollute minds. It can also be used to target people that are speaking the truth, that are here to help people evolve beyond the race war theology. Because to be a part of that is to have your mind infected by the archons. This is a spiritual war. People talk about this is a war. And they mislead you, though, into thinking that it's a war between conservatives and the mainstream media. It's a spiritual war for your soul, not your vote. Like all that divide on social media was about creating unrest. It wasn't about the election. It was about entrapping souls and get people to say, yeah, now go after that group. Oh yeah, Burger King's going Sharia. This is totally real news. This is totally real news. Burger King's going Sharia. And then for a whole world view to come about from that fear that their Big Macs, that their Whoppers, will never be the same again. Distracted from the real people that are taking them to $21 trillion in debt, distracting them from the real plots, the real invasions, the real threats to white women, the real white genocide that could be planned for future inhabitants of North America. Sleight of hand, entrap the souls. So any one of us that wants to free souls from the Matrix are going to come up against that opposition from those that are going to tell us that our message has no value. We will find people popping up like Jack in the Box to say, I'm here to watch you and distract you, but never call out the genocidal maniacs in control of the big banks. You need to understand why there's opposition coming against you if you are here to speak the truth. If you know in your heart that you have also misled, or that others have misled, you need to see why they have success. You need to understand why gold is being surrounding them, and why materialism is finding them. And people like yourself and myself need to not be bought out by the golden ring. Somebody can come up and say, you can have this golden ring that will even give you magical powers and extend your life. But in order to do that, you have to compromise, which means not being compassionate publicly about certain groups, maybe getting on board particular narratives, maybe investing yourself into saying the truth is over here, ladies and gentlemen, without being an agent of the government, but simply divide and conquer, telling people to pick a side. Otherwise, you're a right-winger. Otherwise, you're a left-winger. All of those that are encouraging this divide, that is sitting there laughing like gremlins, like demons, they think they're woke and don't even realize that they're possessed by that evil spirit that has that Joker smirk. Why would there be elements within our society working against us to promote a negative image of Americans or white Americans? Why would they work against our efforts to help them save their souls? Why would they be, and how could they be in their right minds if they believe that information is the enemy? How do they only call the other side the Nazi book burners when their very insults, calling someone a snowflake for expressing emotion? How is that not their own very book burning? Telling someone to sit down, shut up, get in the back of the bus, boy. How is that helping them? It's not helping them. They're getting endorphins from the fight, fight, fight energy that they're getting off of the parasitic entities that, as far as I'm concerned, are the ghost machine that live on the internet, that are behind the scenes manipulating our interactions on social media. It's the paranormal question. And for a nation as interested in horror films and paranormal ideas, right, they really dropped the ball on seeing its involvement in YouTube and social media. But it doesn't matter whether it's persecution of whites in South Africa or all Middle Eastern people being marginalized as terrorists. It doesn't matter what the flavor is. Archonic is archonic. It will even use things like certain supremacy ideologies to box in those actual bloodlines, to entrap those souls within those android biological bodies to potentially an indefinite period sentence to Earth. Who knows how long a guy like me has been sentenced to this prison planet, because my soul is here for evolution. Who knows what people of color I've harmed in other lifetimes, carrying the sword. But one thing I've come to learn is that we're not ultimately victims here to be extinguished off the face of the earth. We could feel like we're victims, and we could be aided by cosmic forces of good. We may be harmed, we may be punched, we may find ourselves homeless, we may find ourselves single our whole life. or without allies for hundreds of miles. But that does not mean that we're not being protected. Like a sword, ready to do battle, but of the spiritual sword. Our souls could be forged by the mightiest warrior within us, energy frequency within us. And that's exactly what's happening. You know, I look at the things that I've overcome and the book that I'm going to write about my life, the things that I'm involved in now, writing behind the scenes, and I see how it's been stepping stones. Like every few years, and almost on clockwork, not exactly, but pretty close, I step forward to a new level of evolution and independence. And in this area where it seems like there's extreme light and dark, the energies that I'm tapped into on the mountain, because it's not all light, we can get a glimpse into our own lower self and our own worst nightmares. And it's like something out of a bad mafia movie, or the end movie scene from Casino, or Goodfellas, or Scarface. But it's like in this world, this flaming sword of information that's in the palm of your hand, we got to keep our fears in check, our self-victimhood in check, our self-image in check. And we got to realize we've been given an opportunity through our actions to live during this time, to override the mind control, to pop out of this prison planet like that inflated ball that's been held by a hand under the swimming pool. Because what if we wake up one day to where that hand of control, that signal of influence that overrides the sixth sense, what if we wake up one day and that is gone? What would truth be like to you? To snap out of the trance? What would truth be like to me to snap out of my own trance that I could be in right now and see reality as it is? Let me ask you a question. Do you wake up each and every day with the intention to see reality as it is, to be a better person than you were yesterday, to be a more grounded person, to be a more clear person, to have more of that mind control, those stuck images and blockages within your energy centers and within your consciousness, to have that grounded out, to evolve beyond that? Do you wake up each and every day making that your goal? Because lately, I'm making that my goal. I listen to people online that have something positive to tell me. They don't necessarily come from the New Age or quote-unquote Gnostic or quote-unquote conspiracy theory genre. Most of the time they don't. And you know what they're talking about in a lot of these lectures? Writing your story and the healing that comes from it. And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of forces of evil that don't want you to write your story. They will actually shun you if you share what you've survived and you share what you've been through. Because the forces of influence, seen and unseen, would rather us use social media to fight each other and to flaunt our own ego and to live a false self as opposed to telling the real story about our real selves. As I aim to pull this flaming sword from the stone and use it for the highest good, I must conquer myself. No man, no woman, no one world government. I must conquer myself to evolve beyond this matrix. And the same thing counts for you as well.